Excellent. So we are now streaming live on YouTube. Welcome, everyone. We're going to start in a couple of minutes. Let us just share the link of today's stream with a bunch of people who wanted to join. And great. We are now streaming. If you can see this on YouTube, yeah, and you can also ask questions on the live chat over there. We will keep monitoring the chat on YouTube to see if you guys have any questions. We're going to share the link of our YouTube live stream right now with everyone who has joined our WhatsApp group. If you want to join our WhatsApp group, you can check out our social media, and you can also look at the description of the previous videos where we have put the link of the WhatsApp group. Okay, let me just put this on my social media now. Excellent. So it's there on LinkedIn. If you follow me on LinkedIn, you can find it there. I'm also putting it on Facebook. There you go. And we've also put it on our WhatsApp group. We're trying to create a channel also, but apparently the channels are also based on popularity. So if you don't know about the channel, you will probably never join it. Okay. So hopefully in the future, we will be able to create a WhatsApp channel. My name is Saurabh Nanda, and I'm a youth mentor, and I'm joined by three wonderful young people who are very passionate about doing this. And it is because of their efforts that we've been able to create this platform called Open Source Mentorship. This is a platform where we pick up a cause that is very, very important in the world right now. It requires a lot of solutions and efforts. And then we diagnose the problem on this YouTube live. And then we also try and understand what kind of solutions exist, what kind of solutions can also be formulated, and probably what is needed as well. Why don't you guys also introduce yourselves? Let's go ahead with Mahesh.
Sure. So hello everyone. My name is Mahesh Nunia, and I am a UX designer at an IT company in India only. And along with that, like I am over here at Open Source Mentorship, I'm trying to take care of all the designing and branding guidelines, along with learning a lot of things with you falls along. So thank you.
Excellent. Ritisha?
Hey, hello everyone. I'm Ritisha Gajwani, and I'm joining from Bhopal. I am a climate researcher, and I'm pursuing CFA level 1 currently. And to be a part of this amazing platform, Open Source Mentorship is such a great opportunity to be helping so many people and assisting them. So I'm very happy to be a part.
Excellent. And Yashmit?
So, hello everyone, I am Yashmit Segal, and I am currently a law student in National Law University, Mumbai. And I'm as a part of the OSM, I'm handling the content part of the OSM mentorship, and it's been an honor to be part of such an amazing team working with Saurabh sir. It's been great. I mean, we research on causes, we help people, we give them problems, and also solutions. How to find solutions to those problems. So I guess it's an amazing cause, and we're working towards it. Yeah.
Excellent. So, guys, why don't you tell us what is today's conversation about? What are we going to discuss, and why is it important? I know all three of you have done your research around different aspects of this. So, who would like to begin?
So today's topic is basically on the World Mental Health Day, which is on 10th October. So we'll be discussing solutions around mental health and how it's been affecting and how it's so important and how it's been affecting so many people. It's a major part of our lives, and it's high time we give it the importance that it requires.
Okay, excellent. I'm just trying to share. Yeah, now it's there. Now you can see it. So World Mental Health Day. So Ritisha, I mean, which aspect of this were you researching on?
Okay, so I will be I did research on this aspect of the student suicides in India. So about that, yeah.
Okay. So tell us about student suicides. What have you found out?
It doesn't come to me as a surprise because India has been such an academic heavy country, as all of us know, and like there are so many people, there's such great population in India, and maximum number of the population is the youth, and the youth is pursuing academic heavy careers and has such immense pressure from the society, from their parents, from their peers to succeed. And somehow there is a thought that okay, failure is not an option, and if we go with that philosophy in life, then it's going to be very difficult, because obviously we know that whoever has made it big in life has failed at least 100 times, I would say, for an example. So failure is not should be an option. It can't not be an option, because if you have to succeed, you have to fail. It's as simple as that. So coming down to the research that I did on this was that in 2021, over 13,000 students have died by suicide in India, and at the rate of more than 35 per day, which is sad, which is
Can you repeat those numbers again?
yes. Okay, so it is according in 2021, that is 2 years ago, 13,000 students died by suicide in India at a rate of more than 35 a day. So
5 a day. Yeah. In fact, recently I read on another forum that this number is currently 37 a day.
yeah. So this number isn't increasing, even though I know that the mental health awareness has increased over the last 2-3 years because of the pandemic, because of COVID. We've started accepting that okay, there are mental health problems in everyone, but still I don't see even a small dip or a stable number there in the suicides. Even not, if not decreasing, it's not stable as well, it's increasing. So that's something to be concerned about.
And as far as I can recall, like some months back only in a newspaper, the report came out that in the by the half of 2023, it has crossed a very large number of suicides, specifically if I talk about Kota, Rajasthan in India. So the 2023 has the largest number of suicides so far.
You're all right. In fact, I wrote a couple of articles for Jagran Josh, the biggest education portal in India, and we'll share the link of that as well. It talks about some more statistics as to how many students are committing suicide in coaching centers, in central universities. So it's not only that you commit suicide in places like Kota, where you are going to prepare for IIT, JEE, and NEET examinations to become an engineer or a doctor, but even after you get into a good institute like an IIT, NIT, AIMS, or let's say in post-graduation you get into IIMs, the suicides continue. Why? Because well, once you reach that place, maybe there's a lot of disillusionment which happens. Like you're there, but you see, okay, it wasn't such a big deal or whatever it is. The other major reason is that the scars which you have, which that student has had because of earlier trauma in his or her life, during coaching or some other form of bullying maybe, or societal pressure, peer pressure, etc., those scars never healed. Those scars are still there. And when you go to such an institute and then people start telling you that, oh, now you have arrived, now you have reached this wonderful college and place, now your life is going to be all rosy and very comfortable and what all. But they realize, okay, nothing really has changed internally or mentally for them. And the pressure probably starts increasing. Why? Because now they say, oh, you're in an IIT, NIT, now you better get a good job so that you can get married, so that you can do a bunch of other things. They're like, why am I getting stuck in this rat race? Let me just end my life. Yeah.
Yes.
Ritisha, anything else that you have researched that we should mention over here?
That, I mean, just the whole perception and how the society has made it so that there's so much pressure.
Yeah.
And like along with this is like onto the aspect on or in context of the academic pressure, but there are various other social issues which actually triggers this in other set of people, like you can say the professionals ones. Like many people actually face the racism, the discrimination based upon a number of factors basically, like and which actually triggers a lot them to get demoralized and demotivated, and that gets on increasing and increasing if they do not find in any way also to come out of it. After that, like they are trying to complain it out, they are trying to to talk about it or to and to complain about it, but if that is not even getting listened at the end, they just decide or they just reach to the point of ending their lives. Like they do not find any point or kind of solutions that and get like nobody cares about it, and this is how it is going to be.
Very right.
Moving on to what Mahesh said, the warning signs that one can see if someone might be susceptible to suicide could be that they isolate themselves from their loved ones, from their family, from their friends, because they think that nobody is going to understand them.
Okay.
Because if they're talking about it, nobody's listening. Continuing to what Mahesh said, they're not paying heed to it. They're like, it's fine, this is life, this happens, it's okay, move on. They're normalizing it rather than accepting it or helping it. Okay, you have a problem handling this, let's talk about it, or let's sit down, let's see what are the solutions. Nobody talks like this. And then there are things like then if you think so, you have sleeping disorders, you have eating disorders, and then you have alcohol use, drug use, because you're too feeling messed up. So you want something that soothes the pain.
So like as we are already trying to discuss all these points, like and I was reading about trying to learn more about like how the technology is actually impacting our mental health issues and everything. So I guess this at this particular point, it would be right to discuss and to correlate all these points. Like now technology is all around us. We can doesn't matter like how the whatever the geographical area is, it has reached every point. But with the over usage of social media, like yes, there are things, there are ways that how to use and everything, but with the overusage and everything, it has adversely affect and in reducing the social life of individuals, reducing the relationships in between the family members, which actually triggers all these points, which what Ritisha actually just said, like when this happens, when our social interaction gets reduced, and when our relationships gets affect, we do not talk to each other much more in person rather than over a screen, all these things will start on get coming out, the depression or the feeling of aloneness, and the sense of comparison with others, uh, in terms of like success, maybe success, like this is, if we would be able to do this, then only we would be a successful person, otherwise we are nothing.
Okay, all right. Yashmit, what about you? What research did you do?
So yeah, I did research on mental health, and it's various government policies and all. But with respect to what we were just discussing right now, I'd just like to add that it's true that the isolation part does lead to a lot of is a major trigger, because we see in our society, when we talk about mental health issues, it is primarily, the solutions for it are primarily biomedical in nature, like medicines and pills. It is, stigmatized to talk about it. There are no psychological or, solutions to it. It is stigmatized. Okay, we don't talk about it, just like take medicines, anti-anxiety pills or antidepressants, and, let's just solve it without, talking about it to anybody. So I think that is a big problem, and, it needs to be resolved. And when we talk about, youth suicides and all, I did find this interesting data that 60% of all the university students in colleges experience these mental health issues, and 44% of these mental health issues is either depression or anxiety. The major,
So you said 60%?
of all the university students face mental health issues.
Okay. In India or?
Yeah, in general, like mental health issues. And 44% of all of these issues is either depression or anxiety.
And as Yushmit just touched upon the point of specifically around the youth, this is one of my personal observation that specifically in Indian culture, like it has been it was always like that young people or children can never have mental issues. If they are just talking about it, they are just joking. Like, what the hell you are talking about? It is only for elder people to take tensions and everything. These things can happen only among elder people or parents and everything. But if you are going through that, it's just a very senseless thing you are talking about. When such kind of feeling comes inside just before talking about it, we end up not talking about it, obviously, because we feel a sense of judgment. Will the person in front of us will be would, if not understand, at least would listen respectfully or not. uh,
Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, this is adding to this point as well. This is true because when we talk about mental health related laws or guidelines, it is not primarily targeted at the youth. It is not youth centric. It is not, young people are not given, that amount of precedence or importance they should be given when it comes to mental health laws or guidelines. And with respect to the suicides which we're discussing, I don't know. I think people know this, but committing suicide is actually a crime in India. So if you commit suicide and you don't die, then you are given a punishment of a year or so. So that's the punishment. And so there's this Act, National Mental Health Program Policy, which was passed in 2017. This act decriminalizes the suicides in India. decriminalizes the act of committing suicide in India. So if you commit a suicide and the court finds out okay, it is under immense stress or pressure, there are a few conditions. So if you fulfill that, it is decriminalized. But apart from that, committing suicide in India is a crime. So that is there. And when we talk about other guidelines which touch upon mental health, so it was interesting that during my research I found out that there are no explicit explicit laws which aim at companies or organizations to reduce the mental health, to reduce the mental pressures on their employees. There are no guidelines which tell organizations ki, okay, these are some of the few directions you need to follow so that your employees don't get under much stress or they are not mentally harassed. There are no such explicit policies to target that. So the policy which related to mental health issues are quite fragmented in India. There are 3-4 laws which can be just construed कि okay इसको कह सकते हैं कि okay mental health problems या issues को target कर रहा है in some sense. So one of them is the Occupational Safety and Health Code of India. It has been passed in 2020. So this act basically promotes healthy working conditions in organizations. So we could construe it as providing healthy working conditions could also indirectly mean that improving the well-being of the workers, fixed hours, a minimum wage, not paying them for overtime and not making them work for hours and hours. So probably it could indirectly affect how we how the mental health of the employees in that organization is. Then I just spoke about the national mental health policy. It is one of the major policies of the Indian government. So it has a lot of.
Yashmit, so just to get the facts right, National Mental Health Act was passed in 2017.
Yes.
And the Occupational Health and Safety Act?
It was in 2020.
2020?
Yes, 2020.
And under this, there is no explicit guidelines for mental health?
No explicit guidelines pertaining to mental health per se. Just, a general healthy working condition kind of a thing. That is that.
Okay.
And when it comes to the national mental health policy, there are a few, few guidelines which, strike in the first sense. So there is a provision in this policy which says that if a person can choose, if in the future I'm going to face a particular kind of mental illness, so this is the kind of treatment I want to go through. This is one of the provisions. Another provision includes I'm not talking about the Occupational Health Safety Act. I'm talking about the National Mental Policy 27.
Okay.
Yeah. So one more provision to this policies as well is of a nominated representative. So in this, a person can choose okay, if in the future I have a mental illness, this is the person I nominate to take decisions on my behalf, or to guide me through this whole process of me going through the mental illness and how it is cured. So those are a few provisions which strike on the first C of the act, and they are probably progressive. Not probably, they are progressive in nature, but a lot of changes need to be made in all of these acts as well. So as I said before, the policy related to mental health is fragmented. It is fragmented. I just told you about 2 acts. That's just 2 acts of many which exist, but none of them explicitly target the root cause of mental health. They skirt by it. This is touching it. And we need to construe कि okay, इस situation को हम ऐसे mental health से relate कर सकते हैं. But there are no explicit policies for it with respect to employees working in an organization. That is what I'm talking about. And when it comes to youth mental health policies, there are no explicit policies whatsoever. The youth are not targeted in these policies. And as I told before that 60% of all university students do face mental health issues. So it does kind of then become important to target the youth of the country to solve their mental health problems. And I spoke about this earlier as well. The solutions to these problems are more or less biomedical in nature, which is not something which is not a good thing. The whole premise of celebrating the World Mental Health Day is to destigmatize mental health problems. I mean, the theme of this year's Mental Health Day was mental health is a universal human right. And focusing just on biomedical care. It needs to go beyond, taking pills and taking antidepressants to solve particular problems. There is a need to talk about such problems, to solve such problems through human relations and, human interaction. So I believe that is something we need to work on. And the stigmatization in the Indian society related to mental health is, we've discussed this before in length. It is there and it is a big problem, and there is a need to, destigmatize this, to talk about it. So I believe, yeah, those were the policies and those were the things we need to, target to not even, to start curbing this problem, to at least give it a beginning. This is where we start and this is where we need to. So, yeah.
Very nicely researched, Yashmit. Amazing stuff. And did you find a lot of difficulty in finding these things?
Oh, yeah. So initially I started with I read upon some international conventions. Okay, these were the conventions based on which India made its laws. But again, my thought and my target was to find a mental health policy, and I could not find a mental health policy. So I had to go through various acts to see कि okay, इसमें क्या कह सकते हैं कि mental health problems को target किया जा रहा है कि नहीं जा रहा. So it was a problem to find mental health policies in India which target, mental health issues like depression, anxiety, such issues which are generally more prevalent. Because when I talk about mental illness here, it is something like schizophrenia, that kind of mental illness.
Schizophrenia.
Yeah.
So basically, it was difficult to find out something which does not exist.
Yeah. So that was a challenge. So it took quite a few, Google searches and quite a few read through articles and research papers to understand, okay, this is the problem. And it is a big problem because if you look at it, there is no explicit mental health guideline in India. Look at it. The law is silent upon this explicitly. That is.
Did you find some references outside India in some other countries, maybe Scandinavian countries or something?
I did not target my research on Scandinavian countries or, foreign countries, but I did find a few, UN conventions which target mental health issues. And it is good that international conventions are there, which exist to, challenge, which exist to find solutions to these problems. But the thing is, its adaptation in India in particular, I would say, in my opinion, is like not that great, because there is still a need to, make these policies a little more inclusive, a little more effective. So that is there. The domestic adaptation of international laws and conventions in India with respect to mental health still has a scope to improve. There's still some scope we could go on and, expand. So, yeah.
Excellent. Ritisha, Mahesh, anything else you guys found out?
Yes, along with as Yashmit just talked about, through the various policies and international conventions, and which are not very well explored, also very well drafted, also focusing on the health issues. Yashmit just pointed out that it is not just limited to the biomedical issue, but we need to socialize more and everything. We targeted the youth, we targeted the student life, we targeted the occupation, but along with that, I also feel like that now we need a safe environment also outside our homes and offices, because now this is also a world where we spend our time, and from where we get triggered through traumas, through which could be any kind of bullying on the roads, if not with us, then with our loved ones. So that is also becomes a very pathetic, triggers our mental issues to a very pathetic level. And that also again I will repeat the point, gets increased or gets very solidified when we do not even get to know how can I complain about it, who to whom I can reach about it.
Okay.
So a safer social environment, obviously I'm trying to talk about the crime status basically in our environment. That is also really necessary. And that so it is not necessary that if someone will harm you physically or is a crime. just the words and hitting on you through the words can also trigger a very mental health issues. And then, as Yashmit said, like socialism. Yes, I also believe, like while I was trying to search about like the impact on the mental health issues through the usage of the technology and everything, there are a number of articles just with the one Google search, like what the world is talking about and what they are suggesting is like, but the concluding point is to socialize, but the direction is not into that of the world. As we are already seeing that social media is trying to design their algorithms to keep on increasing their engagements. Then we are trying to explore a side of a side of technology or a word which calls virtual reality. So and there all just recently, few months ago, Apple releases a product, very new product onto this particular technology called Vision Pro. As soon as it was released, it has actually got a discrimination around the world who by the people who actually are concerns about all these issues. And it was and very well researched points are very easily available on the internet, that how the only the 20 minutes of usage of a virtual reality goggles and everything, how it actually increases the dizziness and and creates a motion sickness onto the human health. It actually adversely affect your motor senses and your senses to measure the distance between the objects and everything. Along with that, it is so all the mental health issues, they call it under the cyber sickness, that and it is just creating and differences in between the two people in person. So after highlighting all the medical issues and all these such kind of issues, the one of the major thing that has been coming out in a conclusion is to socialize and is to balance out the purpose and the time usage of the technology.
Okay. All right. Ritisha, what about you? Anything else that you found out that we haven't discussed yet?
Adding on to what Mahesh said, the word mental abuse, people don't know about that. It's not very like there's no awareness about that, but it exists. People go through it, and then people just what our Indian culture promotes, that okay, what is this? This is not. It's they normalize it. They shove it away. That okay, it's not important. It's fine. If no one's harming you physically, it's you ignore it. It's nothing. So that's something I found out, that people are not very accepting of something called as mental abuse.
Okay. All right. Yes. So, and guys, can you quickly search about? So I read some statistics. I think some time ago, that around 48% of the Indian population is going through some kind of mental health challenge right now. Can you just verify if that statistic exists? So clearly, we understand that some of the solutions, or I think we should let me just. Legal research. Let's rename this part. And then now we can start talking about solutions. Okay.
So surprisingly, it's around 80.5%.
80.5? Okay. What did you guys find?
From the article of National Institutes of Health.
Like, are you talking about India?
Yes.
Okay. Can you share that link with us, Mahesh?
Yes, please. Just sharing that.
The solutions are.
To go into the details, it's just the highlight. I actually need to go into details to understand the stats in a proper way, how it has been measured.
Sure. Ritisha, Yashmit, did you guys find something?
So I was just looking at this survey, the National Mental Health Survey, but it was conducted in 2015, 2016. So probably the numbers are changed now, but yeah, it did tell that mental health issues for people above the age of 18 was estimated around 10.6% in 2015-16. That is I'm talking about.
No, I'm talking about 21, 22.
Yeah. So this is just one. This again points out to the lack of awareness about mental health in India. This was one of the surveys which was conducted 5-6 years ago, 2015, 2016.
Okay.
And this was the one and only survey till now. So, there is the government conducts the national health survey, like in gaps. There are many national health surveys, but there was just one national mental health survey. So this again points out to the problem of the lack of awareness and how we're not giving mental health importance which it needs to be given.
Okay. So let me, we'll find that statistic later, but after COVID especially, it was found in one of the surveys, I'll have to look for it, around 48% of the population, even if it is not 48, let's say even it's 40%. Even then, the current population of India is what, 1.44 billion, right? And 40% of that is around what, 65 billion plus people. All right, that means 65 crore people are going through mental health challenges of different intensity in India. All right, that is a huge number. Now, if you extrapolate that number globally, that means around 40% of the world is going through mental health challenges. That means what, some 3.5 billion people are going through mental health challenges. So the real pandemic which is happening in the world is related to mental health. All the other things are smaller as compared to the mental health problems. And all of you guys mentioned the right things. The decision makers, whether they are in government, whether they are in big corporate entities like Meta, or whether in some similar big organization, they don't either understand completely, don't want to dedicate resources to it, don't want to work towards solutions for it, and so on. So Meta in particular, actually, it has been found multiple times, and they have been sued multiple times in the US, in Europe, about creating algorithms which promote hate speech, which promote negativity, which promote body issue, like body identity issues and body shaming issues among youngsters, especially girls. There has been a steep rise in the number of suicides among young girls above the age of 12 since 2012. That is when Facebook kind of exploded. Student suicides in India, there are multiple issues around it. And one of the reasons is they are all stuck in the wrong place at the wrong time. So career guidance can really help in that aspect as well. Another thing is societal and peer pressure. When you put the pressure, first of all, in a country like India, we shelter our children. All right, the children of our household, we are sheltering them. We give them everything in their hands, the food or whatever it is. But after a certain age, suddenly that entire support goes away. And those young people are suddenly told to now go out there and be successful in the biggest competition in the world and beating everyone else. And then, start earning in millions so that, they can satisfy the aspirations of their parents. So these things also happen. So which is quite hypocritical that A, you want to protect your child, but B, then you're pushing him or her into a place which is impossible to deal with without any support system. Then if you have looked at news after suicide started happening in Kota, for those of you who do not know what Kota is a city in India wherein there's an entire model of test prep around engineering entrance and medical entrance examinations. So students go there, live there for 2 years, sometimes more years, prepare with other students, solely focused on clearing the entrance examination and getting to one of the top institutes in India. So if you have seen the recent news about Kota, because of so many suicides, the city administration decided to put springs in the fans. Now there are ceiling fans. In India is a hot country, so we've been using ceiling fans for many decades now. And one of the easiest, most private ways of committing suicide apparently is hanging yourself from the ceiling fan. So instead of preventing suicides by other means, by increasing counseling and so on, what they have done is that they think that young people are stupid, so they will only hang themselves from a ceiling fan. So if you put springs in the ceiling fan, if there is enough pressure, it will come down, so you will not be able to hang from it. So they think that young people are stupid, and that is the only way of committing suicide. And again, this really baffles me. Why? Because Kota is supposed to produce the smartest kids in the country, right? So you are trying to fool the smartest kids in the country by putting springs in the fans. And that is amazing policy making. Similar things have happened not only in Kota, but also central institutions like IISE Bangalore and IIMs and IITs. They have put springs in the ceiling fans in their hostel rooms or dorm rooms. So this is the kind of apathetic reaction that the administration has towards this, the government has towards this. Is it because of a particular government? No, actually. If you see, Kota belongs to one state which is ruled by another party, and then other states are ruled by another party. It's across party lines. There is nothing political. There is no political agenda about it. Nobody wants to deal with the situation. That is a challenge.
That's a social and cultural agenda, actually.
Yes. So nobody wants to deal with this solution because of cultural issues, as Mahesh pointed out, because it doesn't follow our culture or doesn't fit into the narrative of our social fabric in India. So and it's not only about India, actually. Entire Asia is something, because is a place where mental health is a taboo. I've lived a year in Japan. Japan is a highly advanced, extremely rich, very educated country. All right, has a very old cultural, ethos. Just like India has a very old cultural ethos. Central Asia has old culture. China has old culture. Middle East has old culture. The problem with old culture is that we're not ready to accept the new problems that we are facing.
Yeah, they stay old only.
Yeah. So it is very difficult for them to accept as compared to Western countries. I'm not saying the Western countries are any better. All right, Western countries are equally bad at this. Slightly better because they started doing things around this in the 80s and 90s. We have just started thinking about this in the 2020s or 2010s, right? So that is, we are around 30 years behind them. And it's a big taboo. So one of the things that we need to do is create more awareness, for sure. That is one of the solutions. We need to increase socialization, in-person interaction, especially in today's tech-heavy world. We need to create awareness about mental health challenges. Yes, increase counseling access and awareness. Counseling is available in India, but it is mostly unaffordable for most people, right? The second thing is I've worked with counselors since 2014. In 2014, I did an internship at Sir Gangaram Hospital's Department of Psychiatry as part of my master's in clinical psychology. And the wonderful thing about that department is they used to have, there are something called OPDs, outpatient department, wherein, you can just visit the doctor to get a diagnosis, as opposed to you are admitted in the hospital and the doctor comes to visit you in the ward or something. So in OPDs, they used to have mental health OPDs in the Department of Psychiatry, and they were charitable OPDs. The cost of getting a diagnosis or getting consultation from a psychiatrist was only ₹10. So the people belonging to that social strata which cannot afford anything beyond this, we used to deal with a lot of people coming from very low economic backgrounds in Delhi area, sometimes even from other states, because they did not have a department or such a hospital existing in their region. So they used to come here to get treatment, which for the first time, so that is almost 10 years ago, for the first time I realized, I thought, initially I used to think, and this is again because of cultural issues, that this is a problem of the rich and the wealthy, because they have nothing to do, so they all the time they keep thinking and overthinking. But actually, mental health does not depend on economic strata or economic status at all. We used to get auto drivers, we used to get daily wage workers, we used to get people working in very low income jobs, blue collar, white collar, both types. We used to get a lot of family members, and there were mental health issues ranging from everything possible, from diagnosed schizophrenia to symptoms of depression, to things like addiction to masturbation, everything that you might think of. We used to get those cases over there. And the surprising thing about that is, as you said, most of the solutions are biomedical in nature. Doctors do realize this. Doctors don't want to give you medicines, but they know that the perspective of a doctor in India is, if I'm going to a doctor eventually, if finally I have to go to a doctor, I better get some medicine out of that doctor. Otherwise, that the entire trip was, that entire exercise was futile. And that is why you will see that a lot of Indians who have migrated to the UK and Canada and Western European countries like Denmark, where healthcare is actually free. I mean, it comes from your taxes, but you don't have to pay for it. And because you don't have to pay for it, and I experienced this in Denmark, the doctor will never give you a medicine like paracetamol for a basic fever. They will say, no, don't worry. In 3-4 days, it will go away. Just take rest. Just keep drinking hot tea. That is it. So a lot of Indians who are living in these countries now, who are used to getting a lot of medicines in India, suddenly when they don't get medicine in these countries, they feel like, oh my God, where have I come? I came here for a better quality of life, and these doctors are not even recognizing that I have fever, or I'm running a cold, or I'm feeling pain in my stomach or something. That is because they don't have the budget to give you medicines for non-fatal illnesses, right? So what I'm trying to tell you over here is, in India, there is a culture that if you're going to a doctor, you better come back with a medicine. But it's not that psychiatrist.
Return on investment.
Yeah, exactly. Return on investment, right? So when you go to a psychiatrist also, people generally have a tendency of asking for some medicine. And I know for sure, so that is why you will, if you ever explore the medicine market, you will see that there are anti-anxiety medication or similar medication for other issues in various dosages. In sometimes 5 mg, 10 mg, 100 mg, 200 mg, and so on and so forth. All right. And I know that a lot of these things, are just act as placebos. They don't even have an effect on you. Even if you take the medicine, it is not doing anything to your physiological problems. It is just helping you, think that, okay, I've taken a medicine and now it will be cured. We had a psychology department in that department of psychiatry as well, led by Dr. Artiana, and she's still working there. And that is where I worked as well. We used to get counseling cases, and even that department, even after all the resources and the things that they're trying to do, they were still understaffed because the population of the country is so huge. And I'm talking about one of the most reputed hospitals in one of the biggest cities in India. Imagine any city outside, you don't even have that. We used to get so many counseling cases that I have taken counseling of people going through just regular issues which they can't or they don't want to solve on their own. I'm not saying that those issues don't exist and they don't need professional help. They do. But then a lot of them, because they have that intention that I'm coming to a hospital, I need treatment. So I've dealt with marriage counseling cases. I've dealt with suicidal cases, and so on and so forth, drug abuse cases. The access and awareness just doesn't exist. There are a lot of hospitals in India, a lot of medical organizations which are trying to do this. On World Mental Health Awareness, 10th of October 2014, Sir Gangaram Hospital actually conducts a huge event. They invite doctors and psychiatrists from all over the country. They invite regular people who do not understand these things, because they want to create awareness for them. And what is the incentive for those regular people to attend? Some of them understand, okay, something is wrong, I'll go and attend. But for most of them, they provide food also, that come, at least have food. And then they listen. These are the true solutions for a country like India. So you can keep talking about a lot of things online. You can keep developing a lot of apps online that might not reach the last person on the planet. So that is one of the things that I want to talk about. Even though I am developing an AI which will help in mental health awareness and counseling, but that is not accessible to 90% of the country. They will never know that it exists, because that is how our economic and social structure are. So what are the solutions? We need to create events, bring people in those events. There are a lot of people doing webinars and seminars and workshops in schools and, privileged, I would say, privileged organizations and forums in India. That is great. But if you really want to target the 50% of the population which is going through mental health issues in India and similar regions across the world, then you need to go in person. Then you need to start doing something on these lines. India eradicated polio by going door to door and giving vaccines. In fact, I don't know if you guys know a lot about polio. Maybe you didn't even realize that such a big thing used to exist in India, because there was proper work towards it. The entire world eradicated smallpox. All the countries of the world came together to make sure that smallpox is eradicated. It is possible to do these things. But what is the incentive? Where does the incentive come from? Now, here's a question that I would like to ask you guys, and if you came across such research, do you think that mental health affects productivity at work?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you?
it does.
Did you like? There are a lot of statistics which exist which prove this, that mental health actually affects productivity at work. There's a very famous example I keep giving every time. There was a prime minister in Norway who actually took leave because of mental health issues. He declared openly to the entire country, I am going through some mental health problems and I want to take a break. He took a break of some months, 4 months, 6 months, I think. He came back to the office. He stood again for elections and he won the elections. Do you think that is possible in a country like India today? We need to reach that level. If you don't know about New Zealand's Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So, I mean, please keep doing fact check, guys. I mean, on Google, I might be saying all the wrong things, and we don't want that. So, I think Jacinda Ardern is the name of the New Zealand Prime Minister. I hope she's still there, but she has decided not to continue or contest for the next elections. Is it Jacinda Ardern? Did you guys find out? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So she has decided not to contest the further next elections, whereas her track record has been exemplary. Everyone loves her. I mean, most of the people in New Zealand love her, majority democracy, right? She managed the COVID pandemic in New Zealand like no other politician in the entire world. But now she says, I want to spend time doing other things. I want to spend time with my family, maybe, or focus on her own mental health or focus on her health, because being a prime minister of a country is probably the toughest job in the world. So the prime minister is ready to let go of all that power. That is the level that the world needs to reach, wherein you consider human beings as human beings.
Human beings.
Yeah. Mental health is a big topic, guys. We'll share a bunch of episodes that I've done with therapists, youth therapists, counseling psychologists, etc. From the podcast. So we'll share that. I've written articles on cyberbullying, overstimulation of internet. I've written articles about student suicides and so on and so forth. We'll share all that as well. So those things exist already. I didn't really want to focus a lot on those issues because a lot of people have talked about it. What we want to focus on are the fundamental problems. fundamental problems related to this. Can apps help? Yes, they can help. But what should the app do? The app should help people create such events.
Actually, I know some of the apps which are being promoted by the corporates, like within the corporates, they have a tie-ups with some organizations. They deliver the apps, but within the app, what they actually ask is to schedule a in-person meeting or actually conversation meetings.
Yeah.
So app is just a medium to do the conversation only.
You're right. So
In a better way, if it is possible, than in-person meetings actually.
you're right. You're right. So most of the mental health apps that you will see today, they will all eventually ask you to consult a therapist. All right. And so most of these apps usually work as what? They work as aggregators or yellow pages for therapists. One of the biggest providers of mental health services in India today is called Manha Wellness. All right, they're doing some good work. And similarly, then because of COVID, there were so many other startups which emerged around mental wellness. There are mental wellness apps, especially for entrepreneurs. All right, because entrepreneurs have a very different life, and they have different priorities and different way of living things. So they have their own mental health issues, right? So I explored that as well. Didn't really enjoy the services a lot, so I'm not going to mention it over here. Then there is something called Wysa. Wysa is another mental health aggregator that you will see. It is funded. It is there for a few years. Again, engineering management successful people, they have founded this startup, and then they have onboarded subject matter experts. One of the most interesting things that you might see, which is using AI today, is there's this new app called Meeno, and Meeno is an app which has been founded by the CEO of Tinder. Tinder, as we all know, is one of the most famous apps in the world. Now, this CEO, she has observed data for many years. And by the way, if you don't know, Tinder actually, even if you just use Tinder for 10 minutes after making a profile, Tinder actually generates some 300 pages worth of data around you. So that evidence already exists on YouTube videos and so on. You will find it. So any which way, so this CEO has access to all the data of all the people who want to meet other people on Tinder. And she found out that most of the people, their chats, etc., they just show that they're lonely. And the Surgeon General of the US, who is an Indian origin guy, he has recently, I think a month ago or something, he has declared that loneliness is a national medical crisis in the US. So there's loneliness in the US, there's loneliness in Western Europe, Canada, Australia, there's loneliness in Japan. So they are now targeting these apps, these people, with the help of an AI app called Meeno. It is recently been funded. It is backed by people like Andrew Ng. Andrew Ng is a professor at Stanford. He's one of the big gurus on AI. So he's backing this. Ritisha, you wanted to say something?
So one of the solutions that I found was that there is a non-profit mental health organization based out of Mumbai, and they work on suicide prevention, and they have like programs such as like they have in person, they have sessions, group sessions, like they give you Kathak classes, they give you painting classes, whatever. They organize this all through the week. So they have a schedule for the whole thing. And I found their website very helpful for people out there who want to use it. It's called Agatsu Foundation. It's run by Ira Khan, the daughter of Amir Khan. So that's the platform that I found.
Excellent. So do you see what Agatsu Foundation is trying to do? They're trying to create events to bring people together.
And I guess to help them to get engaged in something, so that for a period of time, they get distracted from the pain, and and I believe it's just my personal opinion. Once we are just distracted from the pain for a specific time, we would be able to resolve our issues on our own. We would be able to find the solutions on our own also. So first thing is to help people to distract from the pain, to let them give some platform or some kind of activity that they can talk, not about the issue, but at least just talk, get engaged, get distract. And once it happens, they will be at a peace, at least, to talk to themselves only, or to some, or to get comfortable with someone else to talk about it.
No, you're right. You're right, Mahesh. So essentially, that is why in English there is in American English especially, there's this colloquially used phrase also, I'm going to get out to get some air, right? So when you basically change your environment, immediate environment, your mind is able to understand yourself better. So changing your immediate environment definitely works, but as you also pointed out, a very interesting word, escape. So escape and distraction are only short-term solutions. Now, why do you think people engage in overeating or drug abuse or binge watching on Netflix or partying and traveling? Yes, travel is a very big distraction and escape. Why do you think they do that? Because they want to distract themselves from whatever is happening in their life. They don't want to solve it, or they don't know how to solve it. Sometimes they have accepted and normalized that in their lives, and they want quick solutions, right? They want easy solutions. So that is what happens. So this is just a starting point. When you engage yourself in other activities, it's just the starting point. It is not the end goal. It is not the solution.
Okay.
Solution will come by understanding yourself. So there has to be better, safe ecosystems for that. All right. Okay, we have finished the time today. Let me just check on YouTube if we have any questions. Oh yes, we have a question from Puneet sir. Puneet Chaudhary sir is one of our well-wishers, and he has been supporting this for a long time. Do we have a list of helpline available for prevention of suicide? So there are a bunch of lists of helplines for prevention of suicides. We will share some of them in the description as well. All right. So guys, if I think all three of you can just find a few, and we'll share it over here, both in India and globally. I know for sure, as Mahesh also said, in corporate setups, there are always these helplines which I mentioned over there. Even the government of India has helplines. There are helplines for child abuse. There are helplines for women abuse. There are helplines for suicidal tendencies run by the government and some NGOs. So there are a lot of helplines, and we'll try and curate a list of it and put it in the description. Excellent suggestion, Puneet sir. Thank you so much for that. All right, guys. Good discussion today, but as we all know, just 1 hour discussion on such a big cause might not be enough. We'll share more details in the description. And if you guys have any suggestions, please do give us the feedback. We would love to hear from you. All right. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend and stay safe.